Everybody, it's Wednesday, 8 o'clock. It's Darren Stanton. It's my show, Darren Stanton Live. Welcome to Stanton Towers. Hold on, where's the graphics gone? There you go. Very special guest this week is Jez. So someone can just give us a quick comment, a quick shout out, so we know we're broadcasting live and we're not just sitting there in the dark. That'd be great. Give us a quick comment. So yeah, met Jez a couple of years ago at a gig that I did, a speaking gig, and we kind of clicked. And he's one of the few people that I've ever met that's carries his own force field around with him. If that, to be honest with you. So he's such a guy. I'll bring him on, but he's not resident to this straight away. One sec. There you go. So without further ado, I'm going to bring you on. How you doing? Okay. You're on, Jez.
Hi there. How are you? Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Finally good to I know you've been really busy and you had a lot on, and obviously with all the silliness through the summer. So it's really good to get you. Just got a Kay on saying, hi Kay, how are you? Thanks for jumping on. So yeah, I think you and I resonate a lot in terms of the way we see things. Finally good to I know you've been really busy and you had a lot on, and obviously with all the thanks for jumping on. I think I'm getting. So, yeah, I think you and I resonate a lot in terms of the way we see things. Finally good to I know you've been really busy and you had a lot on, and obviously with all the thanks for jumping on. I think I'm getting. So, you jump off and jump back on because I'm getting a bit of a lot in terms of the way we see things. I know you've been busy and you had a lot on, and obviously with all the thanks for jumping on. I think I'm getting. So, you jump off and jump back on because I'm getting a bit of a lot in terms. So we're just by Jez just does that technology. If I take you off, Jez, and just come back on. There you go. It's like live TV, isn't it? So how's everyone been doing? Drop me a line. Bearing in mind, I put the link on Facebook as well. So if you want to come on live and speak to Jez as well, that'd be great.
Hi, all welcome.
No, same thing. It's logged you on twice for some reason. That's weird. Let me just try and remove one of them. Let's have a look. Can you hear me now? Is everybody else getting that echo that I'm getting? Let me know. Give me some feedback. Are you getting like a massive relay back?
It was initially for me. Yeah.
Just make sure your phone's not logged on. Are you on a computer?
I'm on the computer.
Yeah, I'm getting a massive echo. So I don't know if you're logged on with your phone or somewhere else, but
Right.
Yeah, if you speak now.
Hello.
Yeah, it's logging on twice for some reason.
My phone's off.
Right, it's really bizarre. I've never had that before. Let's try and figure that out. No, there's no better way to solve problems than live on air, is there? Just bear with me, guys. Let's try this again. Right, let's try it again. Try that now. Are you there, Jez?
I'm still here.
I'm still getting the echo. I don't know what's going on there. Can you log off, like leave it, and then log back on again? Come off completely, and then log back on again for me. We're doing well. We'll give it a few seconds. So do a quick shout out while we're waiting. So obviously we've got Kay, we've got Gary. Hey mate, how are you? Lisa, how are you? Not heard from you for a while. Sorry about that. We'll be in touch. And Gazla, and Lizin. Has Jess got echo cancellation ticked on the mic? That's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. Let's have a look. Hi, are you there, Jez?
I'm here, yeah.
Perfect. Oh, that's better.
You can't be. It's generally me because I jinx all forms of technology. So I'll take responsibility on this.
For those that are old enough, like us, it's like tomorrow's Lord moment they used to call it, didn't they? The minute they used to press the button, it never used to work. So we're building the numbers up at the moment. So really, Jez, just really welcome and thanks for coming on. We'll do it as a take two and say welcome to the show. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll go back, in terms of what you do now, and we'll go back in terms of what your sort of beliefs are, because all part of this show is about inspiration and empowerment, and none of us have come to where we are now like in a straight line, have we? We've took lots of different chances, so it'd just be great to get a little bit of feedback, a little bit of bio in terms of your journey.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of fell into my industry by accident, and I think it all stemmed back from about 14 months ago. I had 9 businesses. I spent 3 years working 120 hours a week, and I was obsessed. I didn't understand the work and life balance scenario, and I become really ill, become really burnt out. I didn't deal with a lot of internal issues like losing my mum at a young age, and it had a big knock-on effect. And I was just, I guess, Mr. Jolly, where my job was to try, and if I seen someone in pain or upset, my job was to try and give them a boost. But I become like this third person of myself, and it become of late that I change things, and I realise, I think there's a percentage of people out there that think money will solve problems, and it doesn't. Yes, money pays for things that create happy memories, but if you've got pain there, all money's going to do is escalate that. You've got to fix the internal problem. And I say now it's so important to do something that you enjoy and that you love, because we are so lucky to be born in this part of the world, where we don't have to walk to have water. We're so lucky, and it's about making the most. How many people do you know out there that wake up on a Monday and wish it was a Friday? And it is so precious every day, every week, every year.
Absolutely, and I think you're right. I mean, there's so many people. I had this discussion with another of my guests where sometimes you'll go somewhere and you say, "How you doing?" in the shop or something, and they'll say, "Oh, better at 3 o'clock," and I'm like, "Well, what's happening?" And you think, "Good," and they're like, "Well, I'm going home." And so many people wish their lives away, don't they? And I think for me, if anything that I've learned from all this lockdown business is that it is precious. Even the basics are, like hugging somebody is such a privilege. Really, it's bizarre. So could you kind of talk us through maybe, some of the things that you started, and then, maybe some successes and things that probably didn't go so well, and how you kind of dealt with that? What was your sort of resilience, or what was your sort of strategy to get through maybe some tough times, if that's okay?
I could write a book on the things that I've got wrong and the mistakes I've made. I had different businesses. So I had business in the repair sector. I had a football academy. I had a roofing company. I had a marketing agency. I had a discount product, the CBD company. The list goes on. And I set out essentially, every business I've had, I've not got any qualifications in. What I have got is that positive attitude, that mindset, that willpower, and that I just will get there. But the mistake that I made, and I agree with people out there that say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. But what I would say is don't have more than 2 businesses. Do them and become an expert in both, because where I had all these 9 businesses, I was promoting something on a Monday, something else on a Tuesday, something else on a Wednesday. And there's a danger of becoming a jack of all trades, essentially. So that's the biggest mistake that I made, trying to do too many things. And I was always trying to compare myself to other people. So, like a lot of us, we try and compare ourselves to, I don't know, a celebrity or a sports star. We're not going to be on the same level. The point is, you try and be the best version of yourself each day and try and improve each day. And that's the most important thing.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And Kay just put the question on. What was your actual first business venture, Jez?
My first business was a marketing agency. And I realized I worked for a publication and I was very good at building connections with people. And I realized from early stages of working for this publication that people were buying into me, not the actual product or service that I was selling, because they realized I was treating their business like it was my business. I was treating it like a little baby, essentially. And from the back of that, that's where my marketing agency and my discount product happened. And this was back in 2010. And it was like it was like Groupon that I had. And I come up with this sort of concept before then, but then they come into the area with the world's biggest budget and I had to pull the plug on it. But yeah, the marketing agency was the first business that I had.
Right. And then I think like most entrepreneurs, I've done everything, market trading, you name it, policeman, bouncer, I've had more hats than Mr. Ben, it's people remember that show. So I think it's true of entrepreneurs, isn't it, that they've got lots of different, I don't say failures, but they've got lots of things that didn't go the way they wanted. And I think a lot of people, they don't appreciate that. That's gold, really, because if you've got maybe somebody that's gone to university to do business and someone that's just gets on with it and does a business, I think that person that went to unis, I'm not just saying we shouldn't go to university, but I think certainly in this day and age now that's never going to count in terms of that 3-year gap. I mean, what would you say about the opinion that, practical experience is more valuable than theory? What would you say?
I'm in complete agreement with you there. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain sectors and certain industries where you come out with a degree, you're going to go a lot further. But I think I look at it from a different point of view. Say you've got two people that enter a similar job role. Someone enters after a 4-year degree, but someone joins before they got the degree and they work their way up. That person that hasn't got the degree, that's worked from low down and worked their way up, they're going to understand different sectors of the business. And they're also going to feel what it was like for someone to come in at the ground level, how, and they can treat them in a different way. So my personal opinion of that would be, I think there's more value and you don't come out with that big debt. So there's a lot of pressure. How many people you hear that come out with a degree and end up working in a completely different sector because there's so much competition?
Absolutely. And also, like you say, the debt associated with it as well. It's, Liz just put a quote on Putting Rites of Passage. We're a big believer that you've got to pay your dues as well, haven't you? I suppose that, getting the kind of theory and academics behind it. And I guess it's what you do, Jez, because naturally, if you're doing medicine or, dentistry or accountancy, you've got to follow a certain route. But I always find it fascinating that even though I speak, as you do, to a lot of different entrepreneurs and successful people, although everyone's individual, do you think there's always kind of like a common path that they followed? Do you think there's do you think there's a blueprint to success?
I don't know. I think that there's different levels. And I think, yes, you've got to have that bite about you. I don't think it's for everybody. And you hear there's so many people that try it. And I take my hat off to anybody that's been self-employed, because it's not easy and they've tried it. It's not worked for them. But I also think you can learn the skills, but you've got to have thick skin in this day. But I also think that there's never been a better opportunity than, look at going back. I was having this conversation the other day that before mobile phones and you're using phone boxes, you knew where people were going to be. We didn't have the social media channels to blow things up. You were relying on, the phone, like the yellow pages and things like that. So I do think, and they say a lot of these successful companies are born in a recession and things like that. So I actually think there's big opportunities at the moment. But I think you don't have to recreate it. Sometimes it's looking at a concept and think, how can I make that concept better? If you can, and the safety argument would be keep your job, do it on the side, and then build up from there. But if it doesn't work, what have you got to lose? You can go back to your job. You're not, unlikely to die from the aspect of it. But I just think there's never been a better time in this, you know, with people being furloughed and they're sat at home. You've got nothing to lose. Take that opportunity. And this, you know, you can research everything by the tap of a button.
I totally agree with you. I think you know, initially when lockdown did come on, I mean, like for myself, just literally lost my whole year in 4 emails from my agent. You know, all the work I'll be honest with you, even though I'm a resilient person, I was totally wiped out. I was like, what the hell? I thought I was looking forward to a fantastic 2020. That's what we all were. So I've had to adapt massively. I mean, I taught myself how to do video editing, taught myself Canva, how to do graphics. You know, so I've got some online courses that I've written. And to be honest with you, Jez, as like yourself, as a people person, that's quite alien to me, because I'm used to, when I met you in Birmingham, I used to standing on the stage and engaging with people and getting that immediate feedback. So for me, having to record things on a computer, you know, so I've had to change my mindset. And although we are now starting to come out of lockdown, I still think, like you say, there's a massive merit in because those skills, you're never going to lose those new skills, and you can apply them in lots of different areas, can't you?
And I think, you know, I'll take my hat off to you there. You know, would you have looked in and tried to train yourself up on video editing and using Canva if we hadn't been in this lockdown? You probably would have outsourced it.
No, and that's exactly what I did. I was paying hundreds out to a particular guy. I'd say, look, I need this doing, that doing. And it was, you know, overall, it was costing me thousands a year. And then I suddenly realized, not to devalue what he did, because this guy's fantastic and I'm not great, I can get by at it. But I suddenly realized, wow, this is something that I can do. That, you know, it's not like white noise that I thought it was. So I think, yeah, Pete, it's a great time to embrace new ideas, I think, like you say.
And I think with the video editing and the Canva and many other things you can learn out there, they're always evolving and developing certain things, and they make them very easy to use, don't they?
I think that's what's happened. It's demystified a lot of things. I mean, like websites, like for example, Wix, you know, I mean, when I first did my website or paid for a website in 2003, it cost me like $2,000, you know, because that's what it was. Maybe I was ripped off, no, but that's what I paid out. And as time's gone on, you know, I think companies have made it more accessible, haven't they? That everyday people can jump on board. It's no longer mysticism, you know, or like Harry Potter. You don't have to be a magician to kind of like put a bit of a show reel together. So I think I've certainly come out the other end for the better, really. Because like you said, there's no way in a million years I'd have sat down and just literally taught myself, you know, because I made loads of mistakes, as you do. So there's no way I would have done that. So yeah, I think you're right. Gareth says, lockdown's the best thing that ever happened for people that are willing to find themselves.
So I think that's the key. You've got to be willing to find themselves. You can sit there feeling sorry for yourselves. And I'm probably like you, Darren, I don't want to come across as insensitive. I know it's hard. I lost a lot of money, and I know you have as well. But the thing is, I'm not just going to sit there feeling sorry for myself. It's a case of, and it's my mental health as well. You know, it helps you getting going, and it makes you feel a lot better and makes you feel more productive. And there's always opportunities. If something, you know, has ended a lot of people's business, but this is their time to look and take their skills and develop in, you know, something that there is an opportunity with everything going on at the moment.
I mean, I had a discussion again with somebody recently, and they said, look, this is not unique. Every generation, every century has had its problem. Like, you know, the First World War, there were people, you know, obviously a lot of people passed away, but there was a lot of companies that went under. You know, there was a lot of companies that just made a killing, you know, made a lot of money. So history is just repeating itself in a way. And I think you're right. If you're resilient enough and you've got the kind of passion to be able to, I know they use this word pivotal, don't know, to pivot, which became a bit of a buzzword. But I think if people have got that flexibility, and Liz put a comment on, lockdown has been an opportunity to use the time constructively to benefit your business, yourself, the time where we've been given a gift. I mean, again, I think to a large extent it's true, because I mean, I never want to experience it again, put it that way. But it has been a bizarre sort of 12 months, hasn't it?
Absolutely. And I just actually on the back of what Liz is just sort of said there, I just want to share something that happened during lockdown. So because we lost a lot of money, this is week number 4. We set up a new business, which was a fruit and veg business. We set it up on a budget. I'm telling you, on the biggest, shoestring ever going, enough to pay for a website, enough to get some design. And then the rest has been hard work, like a load of flyers, speaking to people and that. And that business is going very well. But what we've done, and I think this is something, because everything's going online now, we've decided to be more personable. So talk to people, not be a faceless company. And that's starting to work really, really well. So I just don't understand. There's ways of doing things. And I just think there's so many opportunities out there at the moment. And all you have to do is do a bit of research, see what businesses are working well at the moment, and go and make the most of it.
Absolutely. That was good advice. And just do a quick shout out to Nadia, who's joining us in the States. You're very welcome, Nadia. Thanks for jumping on. Has anybody got any questions for Jez? Anyone want to post a question? Anyone thinking about starting a business that's got no previous experience? Anybody got anything they'd like to ask? Or even, if you want to jump on, I'm just going to post a link, and then you can jump on and speak to Jez face to face.
I also think, Darren, as well, that there's people, if you're looking to get into a business, there's so many experts in your field, and the experts want to help people. Just reach out to people, and you'll be surprised how many people. I've sat down with a few people that are really big in their sector, and I reach out to them, and they've given me that information. And I'm thinking, oh, I've done that. I am denied whether to go through with it, and they give me really good advice.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing, is I think sometimes a person can have a belief that, or if they've seen him on telly, or if they've seen him elsewhere or online, or they won't want to talk to me because they'll want stupid money for it. And I totally agree with you. I mean, I get a lot of emails, a lot of contacts from people, saying, oh, how much will it be? And I'm happy to talk to you, and they're like, wow, what, really? And I'm like, yeah, because it's all about supporting each other, because I don't know when you'll be in a position to help me. And, I think that's the big one for me, Jez, is, not everything is about money. I mean, I do gigs that I don't get paid for, and it's because I like the person that I'm dealing with, or the client, or I'm just passionate about what they're doing. So I think, like a lot of people, they seem to just use money as this measurement of success. And I think the real successful people, they don't see things like that.
I agree with you. And I just think, I have a saying, be helpful, be respectful, be humble, and remember where you came from and who helped you along the way. There's so many people back in 2010 that helped me, and they played a part. Yeah. Don't keep your ego intact in that, because you never know when things are going to turn and change in that. And be kind, always be kind.
Yeah, absolutely. Liz has just said, lockdown 1, we started an online shop, built a platform, and started listing stock, using social media to promote and keep in contact with existing customers. This lockdown, I've started a weekly live show, which is growing. Hats off to you, Jez, for adapting to the change.
I think, and there you go. I think that's absolutely brilliant. And, that's a prime example of someone that's, started, I mean, doing the shows and things like that. And that's a big thing at the moment, the podcast. But there's people at the moment, one of the podcasts, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's one of the easiest things to set up. And there'll be people looking at podcasts and thinking it's a bit of a saturated market. But there's so many things that you can talk about. The key is, if you've got a passion to talk about something, what can go wrong? I had a podcast, and I did the first series, and we're in talks to do second series. And I reached out to people that I didn't think I was going to get on my show. And all these people had conversations. I'm ringing these people up and saying, will you come on my show? Well, how many subscribers you got? None. It's brand new. But they listen to your story, and they're like, oh, you're a little bit different. I like what you're all about. So you'd be surprised.
You're preempted, because I was about to mention about the podcast, because I know one of the things that obviously, you kind of are very passionate about is, same as myself, is like mental health as well. And I made no bones about it. I went through a lot of dark times over my parents, and I know you've been through some stuff as well. So do you think, having gone through a lot of trauma in the past, do you think that can be turned into a positive? Do you think that can be used, in a positive way to drive a person? Or what's your thoughts on that?
I think so. I mean, I look at myself, and I think, I lost my mum for an overdose 25 years ago, and I think at the time it was a case of man up, just get on with it. And for me, I have regrets because I just, at some point you can plant it to the back of the head, but you have to deal with it at some point. It's like a computer drive trying to take on too much information.
Yeah.
But now, in the last couple of years, I've started to talk about, I've started to get help and things like that. But now I've got people that I know that are going through struggles. I've got other people that reach out to me, and I actually feel great because I can help these people. It's like when I'm not discredited in counselors or things like that, but sometimes you can go and see someone and your viewpoint is they've not gone through this before. How can they understand what I'm going through? Whereas I can understand if sometimes you have someone that's so depressed they can't, leave the house, and someone will say, well, just go for a walk. In taking that 10 steps from the sofa or the bed out the front door, it's trying to beat Usain Bolt at a 100-meter race. It feels impossible. So I think taking baby steps from that perspective, but I see it as a positive now massively because there's people that I can help. And I have different ways, how I help, everybody's different. You can't treat two people the same. Some people need an arm around them. Some people, they learn and listen in different ways. And it's like the same as me and you. We would have gone through our problems differently. But I think it's really important, if you are going through those problems, don't just sit there and deal with it and think that no one cares. For every person out there, there will always be one person that will care. And I think it's just really important. It takes more of a man to reach out rather than just sit in there and deal with it, because it's not going to do you any good in the long shot.
You're absolutely right. I mean, obviously, sorry, go.
Sorry, I just coughed. Sorry.
I was just saying, I totally agree with you. I mean, obviously, there was a period where, I sort of left the place and was doing my work, and when it did crop up, I was like, in my mind, well, suck it up. But there comes a point when you can't, and I think, it is a strength to be able to say, look, this has affected me. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a bereavement, does it? I mean, we've all had, sort of personal trauma and whatever it is. So I think you're right. I think it's important to kind of deal with that. Nadia from States says, I really have been thinking about doing it for a long time, but I have the guts to do so. Let us know what that business is, Nadia. Let us know what your thoughts are and what you're thinking. You can let us know on the text, or obviously jump on and you can speak to Jez directly by clicking the link. And I'll bring you straight on. So thanks for sharing that. And then Liz has just basically put, go for it, Nadia. Take the first step. It's not a race. Go at your pace. It doesn't matter if you go no further than the first step. There's a great quote by Martin Luther King. And he says, you don't need to see the whole staircase in faith. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step in faith. Just take the first step. And for me, there's just a few analogies like that, where you're either driving down a dark road and you're only seeing a portion of the road. I think there's an element of trust involved in it as well, because a lot of the time you can't see the whole picture, can you? You've got a belief in what you're doing and a passion for what you do. But sometimes you've just got to have that belief that you're moving in the right direction. And what's your thoughts on that, Jez?
I think that you've got to really believe in what you're doing. And I think there's a lot of people out there that will expect quick success. And they will think sometimes they will give up after, it could be 2 months, 2 weeks, 3 months. And sometimes you can be on the cusp. So just really believe in what you're doing. And I think it's important I'm a strong believer of self-development. So do a lot of reading.
Yeah.
With, books within your sector. I also think, masterminds are great. I think get a mentor in your sector, which is imperative. What's the saying? the best way is to learn through your own mistakes. And I've never understood that. Learn through someone else that's made those mistakes, because it saves you a lot of money. And I think so. I look at mentors that have been there, done it, and can help me, you know. And I know there's a lot of free courses out there as well. But if you can get someone that helps you speed up your journey, they're worth every penny.
Yeah. So if there's somebody out there that's watching right now, we're going to watch this on, you know, on YouTube or whatever later on, and they think, do you know what, I really resonate with this guy. He's the sort of person that I'd love to connect with. Who would be your sort of customer, Jez? What kind of things can you offer somebody that wants to work with you?
I think I believe that I can shortcut them through, take, for example, like books. I become so obsessed with self-development that I've read over 1,000 business and self-development books. However, I've made a mistake there, because it's like someone that does karate. You know, to become a black belt, they master each move thousands of times, and then we as human beings, we read a book, put it down, and go on to the next one, and we don't actually action anything. So I made a note of 7 most powerful books I've ever read, and I'll read them every single year. But I think I from my perspective, I can just give advice in, you know, 2010, what I've done through my journey, the mistakes, there's countless mistakes, and what you should do, how to eliminate those mistakes. And the thing is, from my perspective, if I was to lose everything, I wouldn't have a fear. I'd know what route to take to go back up there. However, I've got a bigger fear if I lost half of it. So that would be, I'd be more concerned from that. But I guess it would be the guidance. You know, it's also dependent on who the person is, what age they are. It's like you wouldn't sell to the same person twice. And I'd say there's a lot of people that set up in business and they try to sell to everyone. Yeah. And I learned this the hard way. And when people say, look for your ideal client, you're like, well, everybody's my client. They are not, believe me. And once you find your ideal, you wouldn't sell the same way to an 18-year-old lad, the same way you would do to a 60-year-old lady. Oh. So why are we putting the same material? Why are we putting the same advert online to sell to these same people? You find your market, you'll find your ideal customer, and you try and replicate it and do an advert for that actual customer. And you do that is every time you get a new customer and you speak to those customers, you find out how you can improve your business, what services and products and things like that. And that's something that I got right in my repair businesses, that every 3 months we would touch base with a customer. We'd find out, you know, were they happy? And we made sure our customer service was immaculate, so they were happy. Then we'd find out what other service they'd want, what were their T's and C's they would want, what price they'd like to pay. Then we're not second guessing, we're going back, and then we upsold the product and things like that.
Yeah, makes sense. And Nadia's just said, fair question, do I have to pay to get your help, Jez?
No, I think I always allow anybody 15 minutes. And as you know, Darren, I like to talk. So that 15 minutes tends to be half an hour. And I just think, like I said before, you know, be kind to people, you know, time. I'm happy to give my time to anybody, and, you know, they can reach out to me on the social media channels, but I'm more than happy to give people the opportunities, because there's enough opportunities for people to make money in whatever sector.
Yeah. And in terms of ongoing coaching, would that be an option? I guess that would be probably paid in terms of ongoing.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
The consultation would be free.
Absolutely.
It just depends what you want to do. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it might be definitely worth reaching out, Nadia. Just you know, we'll post all Jez's contact details at the end of the show. So I think, you know, definitely might be a potential really good bit of synergy there. So I'm glad you've connected. Liz has put, this is from my friend Ian. So Ian says, success comes before work in only one place, the dictionary. Anyone, yeah. So in any one word, the dictionary, effort brings reward. That makes sense. I caught that up a little bit. And then Nadia's put, check out my Facebook to get a little bit of basics around me. Can't speak tonight. So can you check out my Facebook to get basics about me? Let's have a quick look. Anything else? Somebody else got any questions for Jez? Any anything you'd like to bring up, or again, if you'd like to jump on, say hello in person, that'd be great. So in terms of like what you're doing now, so all the kind of CBT stuff and let's touch upon that, Jess. So, in terms of what's taken the main bulk of your energy and your time right now, then in terms of business, what's your passion right now?
I think it's the two things. It's the fruit and veg business and the CBD. And the CBD was something that I fell into by accident. So where I had all these businesses, I felt burnt out. I was really stressed and anxious. And my eczema had flared up. I had a bad back. And the average person on 5 lots of medication, I'm not saying everybody, but the average person, they take a main medication that's got side effects. They take something else and so on. And they've generally all got chemicals in. So I wanted to take something natural. I did a load of research and I found CBD. And from that, I'm not going to paint a picture and be one of these companies, because it's a bit like the hand sanitizer. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, charging too much, making money for it. And I don't like that. And they'll say, this will change your life. It will help maybe massively and eradicate all pain, whatever, 1 in 1,000. But in general, the CBD market will help you manage your pain, your symptoms and things like that. But from there, I took the CBD. It worked for me. It helped manage everything. And I just thought, this is my calling. I need to do this. I need to help people. And that's how the company was sort of born near on 2 years ago. And I've just been on a mission since, really. And there's a lot of people out there, like I said, trying to make money, and they'll be massively financially backed by celebrities and, set the company up with a couple of £1 million. But the biggest thing for me, I get people, it's that reward when people say it has helped them. But I get people that ring me up and say, I'm taking the CBD and I'm not sure if it's working for me. And I asked them to send me a lab report of the company they purchased, and they said they won't give me a lab report. And I always say to people, and this is our strength, we put our lab report on the website. You have a duty of care to understand what you're putting in your body. So that's where we put the lab report. But it's been an amazing journey. I'm so passionate and I love it. And just when we get the phone calls, and we've had people where we've had parents with their kids that have taken it, and I've had a lady that was 94 and she takes it. But I always say to people, if you are on medication, always check with your doctor. Always do your own research. I'm in this for the long term, so I'm not going to sit there and paint a picture and be dishonest. It's about, I've got to sleep at night, so I'd rather be honest, essentially. But that's how I've fallen into that sector. We work with various different people like strongmen and things like that, and we partner up with people. This is what I'm saying about the customer service. So I get phone calls where people say, oh, can we stock your product? And I have to turn quite a number of people down, because if they're not in line with my ethos and principles, they can say the wrong thing and I'm shut down. So the people that they sort of become influencers, really, and then they get involved from there. And they've been through the process of taking the product. They've seen their own transformation, or family members, people, and then we go from there, and that's how they get involved, essentially. But the CBD is the main thing, and then the fruit and veg that we launched. Well, this is week 4, but for me, I'm obsessed with work and in business. And it was a case of, now, when you've got people that are concerned you're either going to drop dead or you're going to have a heart attack, and I may think I'm invincible, but when you've got loved ones that are worried about you, you really need to take, a step back, because family and friends are the most important thing. And at the end of the day, we should be looking to spend as much time with those people as possible. So I try and have that saying, which is why wait till, how many people get to retirement age, which 67 or what have you, and then say, right, now we're going to, travel around the world, and health dictates that they can't do that. So I try and look at it and try and live that semi-retired lifestyle. Try and do the things that you enjoy. So I've looked at the business is, what can I do where I can spend more time with my friends and family? Because if I can, obviously we all want to work as less as possible and earn as much as possible, but it's about finding that balance. And I think I've worked so hard, like a lot of people, and I've worked long hours, and I don't want to do that anymore. And sometimes it's really hard because I go back in my set ways. But at the same time, I think it is about finding that balance, So that's starting to work, and I'm starting to evolve. So I've got a 10-year plan, really, what I want to achieve, what I want to do. And I think I'd say to people, if they're feeling a bit down and out, go and get yourself a notepad and write down 10 personal goals that you want to achieve. 10, it could be little trips or hobbies, like a little mini bucket list. And I would also say, people that are feeling down and out, write down on a piece of paper. This is something that I do. I've got a piece of paper that I carry around in my wallet of 10 things that I'm proud of what I've achieved. And sit there and spend 20 minutes writing this down. And if you're having a down day, keep it on you all times. You pull that out and it gives you a boost.
That's good advice. Definitely. Now, Nadia said she'd like to take up the 15 minutes with you, so she'll be in touch.
Fantastic.
With you. And then also Nadia said, the person that is representing whatever it is to be passionate about and know what the product is, if they don't have the passion, are not humble and unkind, it doesn't work, I guess like you said. So I think you're right. I think for me, the ego is the big thing about it. Is no one likes a big head, and even though I do what I do, and you do what you do, I think the one thing that when people meet me, they've got this idea that I'm this ogre because they've seen me on the telly or whatever. And I say, look, that's just not me. I'm actually quite an introverted person, and people are sometimes shocked. And there's so many people that I've met that are successful, and that humility seems to be, a lot of it. I mean, last week we had a guy called Bam, who's a social influencer, and then he interviews when they have these press junkets for the movies. He'll go along and interview like major stars, and he's only like a young guy, sort of 20s, and he interview people like Denzel Washington, and we asked him last week. The interviews on YouTube, my YouTube channel, and the one thing that came out of people like Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington and Tom Hardy is this humility. Even though they're superstars in their own right, it's the fact that they're very grounded and they treat people with respect, and they don't believe their own press. So I think you say a good thing, Jez. I think that plays a massive part, doesn't it?
I think so, and I think that's lovely to hear that these super celebrities, and sometimes we look, and sometimes there's no pleasing people, and someone will jump on the bandwagon and say this celebrity is raised £100 million for charity. Wow, they've got more money. Why couldn't they raise 200 million? And it's like, I think you can never, you can't please everybody to a certain degree, but that's lovely, and I think I'd be looking at this influencer, Bamalan, was that his name?
Yes, Bamalan, yeah, Bamalan.
He's a young guy. And he's getting out and interviewing all these celebrities.
Yeah. I worked with him about 2 years ago on a gig in London, and we kept in touch. And obviously, we're actually planning something once lockdown lifts. But honestly, he's such a nice guy. It's like yourself. Just what you see is what you get. No pretense, no ego. Just this is me, and I love that, and I think people do resonate. I think with people that they like, don't they? I think we've all met people that have turned out to be disingenuous, and I think that if it's just about money, I know we've all got to live, and I know we've all got to pay the bills, but I think if you love what you do, and I know it's a cliche now, but it is money and reward is a byproduct of that passion. You know what I mean? I think so.
I completely agree. I completely agree.
I'll see if I've got Stu that's in the back room. I think he's ducked out now though. It was on the one. And then Nadia said again, what if you feel like there's no way out from the darkness? What if you feel like there's no way out from the darkness? You feel depressed and don't see the light on the other side. What advice would you give Nadia on that one,
So I went through, and this was probably not long after the first when we first went into lockdown, and I was doing a load of filming, and I was doing a couple of masterminds, and my head was a complete overload, and I was restricted. I'm one of these people, I like to be around other people. I like face-to-face conversation. So I felt like a caged animal. And for me, I did a couple of things. So I would go out for a walk every day. I would listen to music that give me a little bit of a lift. I'd watch motivational videos. I'm not saying the motivational videos for everybody, but you'll find different videos that will motivate you in different ways. I was doing forms of exercise at home, and I would try, and even on the days that I would really struggle and I didn't want to do any work, I would do at least one thing that took me a step forward. So if you're looking, you have an off day and you're thinking, I'm really down and out, and you normally do 8 hours, it's better to do one thing, not at all, but do those. That's what I just think, going for a walk, listening to music, 2 things, getting you out of that house. And I know it's difficult, going back to the point that I made before. Sometimes it can be the hardest thing in the world, getting outside the front door. But when you've done that and you're doing that, it will make you feel better.
Jez, I couldn't agree more, because people that know me really well, they'll know that I never sit still. I never sit down. I'm literally, I can hear my mum now in my head. Her expression to me was, you never sit down, Darren. One day it'll hit you like a ton of bricks, right? And during the first part of lockdown, I literally never left the house for about 2 days shy of a month. So practically for a solid month, I never left the house. And that for me is absolutely unheard of. I was like a hermit. I was like castaway. And I felt myself, like becoming this person. I was like, this is not me. I'm used to going to gym or going out or being active. So you're right. I purposefully started going out, for walks and stuff, and interrupting the pattern, because it doesn't take too long. Once you kind of spend 3 or 4 weeks thinking a certain way, it can kind of engulf you in a way, can't it? Especially if you're having to stop in the house as well. So I think what you say is absolutely great advice, and that's exactly what I did, and it has helped. But yeah, I think just to be, and also be aware. Do you think, be aware of when this thing's beginning to kick in? When these dark thoughts are happening.
Definitely. Like one other thing you just made me realised is I actually, and here it is, just to show that I'm not making up. So I got myself a journal this year, and there's no guide. I just and I've done that every day. I'm not going to show you my handwriting because it's really bad. And I've written down every day, and that's helped me. And one other thing is, sometimes I found 2 of my best friends that become sort of accountability phone call partners. So if you're on a bad day, and I speak to them both pretty much near on every day. And, you can talk to each other about, problems, and then it just eases things. And then you're giving each other advice and that. But I found 2 people. So going back to the point that we were talking about before, sometimes you think, oh, no one's going to want to help me and that, but you need to have that release. So I would definitely find someone to talk to.
Yeah. And I think that's the purpose of me starting this, really. It was the reason, we're on, this is week 14 now. So I can't believe, well over 3-month mark. And it was all about creating a connection with people, because what I found, everybody was experiencing this disconnection. The fact that we are so used to talking to people, and I found myself not interacting with anybody for weeks and weeks sometimes, which is not like me. So that's the whole purpose of this channel. And so what I'm saying is that, feel free to reach out, as a community, as a family, we're really to support each other. But I would definitely, I'm really pleased that you're going to take Jez up on that little consultation, because I'm sure it'll certainly help. And, you may find that it's something you may want to continue with Jez, because I'm not just saying this, he is what you see is what you get. That's why, same as Jez was saying about the passion he has for his business, that's with my show. I've been looking at everyone that I want on here that resonates with what I believe and my core value is I've been looking to get those people on the show. So, that's where we're coming from. Liz has been very patient, and she says, thanks. You're welcome, Nadia. Every Wednesday, will be on here to help. And you feel free to contact myself or Jazz or anybody else. Liz is very intrigued to know what your 7 books are, Jazz. Your 7 books that you read.
Right. So the 7 books I read is this is where I'm put on the spot. It's not for everybody, this first book, which is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. You know, it is a little bit airy-fairy in that, but it sort of puts me in the right mindset. I'd say any book by Brian Tracy is very good. Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, and he's an amazing guy that had a car accident, a really serious car accident, and it changed his life. Jack Canfield, The Success Principles, is very, very good. The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And what I like about that is most people will bring out a book and they won't tell you their secrets. This guy tells you all the links and how he did everything. So it's like a self-help guide. Trying to think what else there is. I'll send over. I've gone blank on the books now. Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy is a really, so that's it. If you know what we tend to do is we'll have a to-do list and sometimes we'll add things on just so we can mark them off. But it has an approach to get the biggest thing out of the way done early doors and go on from that.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can connect with Lizzie. It's Liz and Ian, my friend Lizzie, and they run health and wellbeing shows, one of the biggest health and wellbeing show organisers in the Midlands and stuff. So, you know, there may be some synergy for you guys there as well. So maybe if you could let them know what those books are, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my friend Ian's just jumped on. Hi, Ian. How you doing? Hope your stuff's been going. He's got his own show as well, so hope that's been going well for you tonight. If you've got any questions, just let us know. Yeah, and then again, Liz says thanks for sharing, Jez. And then we've got something else from Nadia, I think. Let's have a look. She's put, I hope it's okay. She shared it on her Facebook, buddy. So she's connected with you. Again, if you want to connect with Lizzie, LizzieEvents.org. I'll be there next month in, I think, is it Newark or Lincoln, Lizzie? I think it's Newark. I'll be speaking there and doing my usual hocus pocus, but they're great people to connect with, Jez.
Oh, magic. Okay, I'll make sure I connect with all of these people.
Has anybody else got any questions or anything else they'd like to ask Jez? Any other moment or experiences that you guys have had that you'd like to share with the group? Yeah, Liz just put sharing is caring, you know, so it's all about helping each other. I guess just, I can't believe the time's gone, so we're kind of nearly there, but oh, here we go. There's for people that want to Newark Showgrounds, 24th, 25th is that show.
So I'm guessing will that be a live event or virtual?
Yes, live event, yeah. So they've got to go to run it, yeah. Yeah, it's in Lincolnshire. They're doing Newark Showground actually. So yeah, they're really fantastic events, and I think, you know, certainly what you do would go down really well there, Jez. So yeah, it's a good one. So anything else? Any other projects that you've got on the go at the moment? Anything else? Or are you just focusing on the two you've got? Anything that you'd like to make people aware of, or have you got? Are you looking at a book or anything else?
Well, the problem that I had is I'm like a child with a shiny new toy when it comes to new businesses. So really, I've got accountability people that keep me in check now. Any new ideas? No, I don't want. I just want to focus on what I've got. Essentially, I did actually look at. I started writing a book. This was back 7 or 8 months ago, and the guy was like, you know, blimey, you've got a lot going on. And I realized that at the moment in time, and this is the other thing. So I started doing that, and I realized at that moment in time, it wasn't the right thing for me. So I've put it on the back burner. I may revisit. I do believe that everybody's got a book in them, but I just didn't know which format to go, how to put it together. And I thought, we're just going to leave this for here now. But yeah, I don't want to, we'll probably do another series of the podcast in within the next few months and that. But I just want to focus on these two businesses.
Yeah.
And get those right and try and test different things. I think the thing with the fruit and veg where the business from that perspective is we're just focusing on locally. So once again,
sorry to cut you off. How does that work, Jess? Sorry to cut you off. Is that, did you deliver to your customers then, or how does it work?
100%. So once again, I just want to say I haven't got a clue about fruit and veg, and we just decided we were going to look at a coffee business, actually, very upmarket coffee business, did events, and then we thought, what happens with the pandemic and things like that? So then we had to switch. What do people need? It was the fruit and veg. We get fruit and veg delivered ourselves, but the problem is it gets delivered by the national companies. Some of their fruit and veg is damaged. And we thought there's no love and care into this, and that's how the ideas we mind mapped ideas and how we were going to do it. And where we live, we just wanted to do a few towns and villages around it, so we can really we do everything ourselves. We deliver it, we deliver all the material, we do everything ourselves. And the big thing at the moment is using that biodegradable materials, no plastics and things like that, and it's worked. And we know we listen to our customers, and every customer that's ordered has reordered. So we know, don't get me, we've made mistakes. And I think it's important to say I'm not perfect. We got the flyers done that were A6. So if we got the older generation, they're going to struggle. So we got that wrong. There are things, and it's okay to put your hands up and say, I got that wrong. Absolutely. But that's going to stay locally for the time being. And then we'll go from there. I've got no interest in being a multi-millionaire. I've got no interest in being super wealthy. It's more important my health, my wealth, and as long as I've got enough money to pay for my food, to have a little holiday and do a few little hobbies and things like that, that's me, and that ticks my box.
I totally agree with you. There's a little video which I'll probably post, and it's what's it called? It's Living a Better Life. But essentially, I don't know if you've seen it, Jez. There's just qualified an MBA, and he's taken a few weeks out. He goes to visit this little fishing village, and he sees this old guy rowing in on his rowing boat with a few fish, and he says, "Why have you seen this?" He's like,
"It's a great story. It's a great story to have."
It is everything this guy, the way that this guy lives, he's already living the life of a millionaire. But he's saying, "No, it'll take you like 15 years." So I think, you've hit it on the head. If you can go where you want, when you want, and be with who you want, and you've got no financial constraints, I think you've cracked it, haven't you?
I truly believe that. And it's finding, do not compare yourself to other people. It's about what makes you happy and what's going to make a difference to you. I think that's the key. I'd rather do things on a smaller scale and have a happier life.
Fantastic. And then just a final comment from Liz. She's put, sounds a great business, Jess. Long may you prosper.
Thank you. Vice versa.
And then just really the last few minutes. So, somebody's been watching this. They may not looked at it now, but they've been thinking about doing something. What would be, your top 5 things that they could do to begin to make a change? So just 5 maybe simple tips that someone watching this now or later on could maybe start to implement. What would you say? I'm putting you on the spot a little bit now, but
that's okay. What, in terms of setting up a business to improve their self personally?
Yeah. So maybe to setting a business up, they've maybe got an idea, the germ of an idea, but they've got this apprehension, this fear that they don't know what to do first. So what would be maybe your top 5 tips, at least just to begin to maybe map it out?
Okay. Well, the first thing I would do is research everybody else out there that's in your sector, see what they're doing, look what they're doing on their social media, write down the good ideas in the bad ideas, and obviously just push on the good ideas. Find people and connect with people, whether it's LinkedIn on Facebook, to mentors and things like that, people that have been there and done it in that sector. Try and also develop certain skills. So a lot of people get obsessed with their strengths and weaknesses, and they're trying to push on their weaknesses. But I believe outsource the weaknesses and push. If you've got 3 really good strengths, look at upselling those free strengths and outsource the rest of the things. I would say also, don't get obsessed with every social media channel out there. Pick 2 or 3 and try and master them, because, as you know, every week there's one new channel coming out there.
Yeah.
And I would say one of the biggest mistakes I made is I'm 100 miles an hour. And if I was to go back and do things again, I would have planned a little bit better. So people get obsessed with business plans for the next 12 months, but generally they're irrelevant after 3 or 4 months because the way your business evolves. But it's a great guide. But I would spend longer getting the business, getting the business, plan it properly. And you don't have to wait until you've got a website and things like that up there. Start selling it and promote it. And that's something that I've made a mistake with the fruit and veg business. We waited until we were live. We planted a few seeds, but I would have pushed on it more. So they're the things that I would do. And going back to your point, the biggest thing is you can do everything out yourself. The video editing, the Canva, the social media. There's courses out there. There's so many people doing 5-day courses, whether it's through Instagram, whether it's through LinkedIn. They're free. And you'll pick up so much information. So I would take an extra month planning and doing these courses and getting the basic skills. But even if you can't do something, you go onto YouTube and it will show you a video how to do that. So there's nothing you can't do in business. And I think as well, don't be afraid to make a mistake, because you don't know it's a mistake until you made it. And also don't be scared of failure, because
absolutely,
sometimes a mistake or failure, they lead on to great things. And I think they say that the most successful people, they've gone bankrupt 3 or 4 times, which I can't get my head around. So, you know, and they've gone on, they may have set up business 5 and they've become a multi-millionaire, or got, found that pleasure, spend more time with their family. But they could have given up on the third. They could have given up on the 3rd occasion or the 4th occasion, and that's it. And they were on the cusp of success. So I would say, don't be scared of those mistakes, because you'll learn the biggest from those mistakes. You won't realize at the time, but sometimes it's a blessing.
Fantastic words. Thanks for that, Jez. Just a quick shout out to Abdul, who's watching all the way from Ghana. So thanks for jumping on. Every Wednesday, 8 p.m. UK time, Abdul will be on here. And then just really in closing, we've got some feedback. So from Kay, wise words, Jess. Again, wise words. So just a big thank you to you. Before we kind of just wrap things up, I'm just going to put your social media details on. Let's have a quick look. Give me a second.
It's me. I'm jinxing the technology again, aren't I? You're going to block me on all channels going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put this one on. This one's ready. I know the website. Oh, there you go. So I know the Twitter's not right at the bottom, but essentially, if you want to connect with Jez, that's the website. I guess that's maybe the best way of getting hold of you, Jez.
Yeah, through the website. In general, if the I Am Truth CBD on Instagram or Facebook, there you'll find me there as well. But Jez Tinkler, I think I'm probably, I haven't got a name like Smith or Wright, so you're not going to have problems. I lost out on the name front, didn't I, really?
Unique, isn't it? It's really unique, actually.
I always wanted to be someone like Dan Disney, to be honest, but, I'm not bitter about the name.
Yeah, absolutely. Got there in the end. So any final comments before we... that's it. No, I just put, I believe people could see your passion that excludes you out of without selling them. That excludes out of what you're selling them. They connect with the person. If you don't have that, it's never going to work. Yeah, so I guess it just goes back to what you said, Jez. I've bought things from people, a product or service, even if it's more expensive than the competitor, and it's because I've resonated with that person. So I think, I think there's no better way of I don't know, really getting involved with somebody. You've got to really connect with them, haven't you? You've got to resonate with that person. For me, and I think you're maybe the same.
100% agree. And sometimes I used to be so critical of myself that I didn't speak a certain language, I wasn't a certain way. And going back now, as I've got older, I've sort of learned to understand, actually, all I'm trying to do is improve me. You're always going to have someone that doesn't like you. You know, that's part and parcel of life. And it could be the smallest thing in the world. Yeah. But you don't want to deal with the people that don't like you. It's a case of find the people, your cup of tea, and deal with them, essentially, and just be the best version of yourself each day and love life.
Fantastic words. And Ian's just put, enjoyed it. Thank you very much. So thanks everyone for jumping on tonight. Lots of questions, really good. Some really good comments. And just want to say a big shout out to Jez for giving his time tonight, for coming on and giving us some of his words of wisdom. Thanks so much, Jez.
Thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate your time.
And it'd be good if you could kind of connect with Jez on his social media and like, share, and subscribe to his stuff, because obviously it's all about helping each other. And likewise, I'm trying to get my YouTube up, so if you really want to Darren Stanton Live and hit subscribe, that'd be appreciated. So if you're still on the line for a sec, Jez, we'll have a quick chat. But for the moment, thanks so much for jumping on again, guys. Really, really appreciate your time, because we're building up the numbers now, and we get some very, very loyal fans. So I really do appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Darren Stanton Live, where I've got professional actor Rob Jarvis. If anyone knows the show Hustle, he used to be on BBC One, Hustle. He played one of the barmen in there. Marcello. He's done countless things, so you recognise him when you see him. But Rob Jarvis is my guest next week, 8 p.m. on Darren Stanton Live. Have a great week. Take care. And, we're getting there now, guys. We're getting there. So you take care. Keep fighting. All the best.